Good morning, everybody. I hope you're ready for another exciting day of the markets. Yeah, I know I'm excited about it. I'm always ready for uh, a good experience in learning how to trade the stock market. It's always been a joy of mine. I hope it's a joy of yours. So let's get into this and see what we got going to be happening today. Of course, first up is going to be the S&P 500, and we got to go. All right. So we got the S&P sold off on us, put in this little green bar, kind of head faked us, and then we sold off again and gave it all back and took it out. So expect the S&P to kind of push down into here, find some support in this area here, and then maybe try to come back up into here and get above that again. But it's going to have some overhead pressure from our moving averages coming down. We do have our trade winds coming underneath for some support, so keep an eye on that. But right now, S&P is still looking kind of weak and heading back down into this area where we had this little bit of a channel, which most likely could have been a gap up at one point. Um, but at any point, we know that this is a area of interest down in here. So we may be heading back into here at about 5,600 on the S&P 500. Next up is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, let's take a look at Coinbase. And Coinbase, Bitcoin looked like it continues to sell off, but it did find some support down here at about 82,000, 82,800. All right, got this pointer that may have to be taken care of. So that may be an indication where we're heading. See these pointers here? We're finally down in there and making sense of them. Same thing with this pointer here, came down, finally made sense of it. Alright, so every time you see these dropouts, it's just a test as to where they're going to push it down to. So that's the next point, down there about 77. Okay, so keep an eye on that. We get below this trade winds though, it may be enough to keep it down there and take it down even lower. So keep an eye on that with Bitcoin. Alright, but looking at Bitcoin on our Thinkorswim charts, and we have this window that's open down here about 77. So that pointer might be something to really give you a good indication. All right, because we do need to reconcile this window, and we almost did here. And sometimes I feel like that might be enough, but then sometimes it still needs to have to come down in here and make a clear indication that. All right, next up is oil. And oil comes down here and it looks like it wants to come back down into this area where it was finding some support at one time. Lots of touches down in here. Did have this little double bar over here that got a little bit lower. So there's our range weakness, so be careful. Next up is gold, and gold did a little turnaround, put in a little V bottom. Most likely wants to come back and retest this high. Keep an eye on that and see if it fails. If it fails, and look for our support in this area, in this zone here. All right, look for some support in this zone and a retest. If that fails, then we're going to come back down here and try to find this support at this most recent previous high. Not most recent, but this previous high here. Okay, so yeah, keep an eye on that. On the gold looks like it wants to continue to go higher, but right now it's got overhead pressure here and here. Okay, so tread lightly. Next up is natural gas, and natural gas got a little pump this morning into the pre-market. So keep an eye on that. That bar right there looks like it wants to continue to follow through. So natural gas looks like it wants to come back up and give it another try. Give this guy another test. So let's see what happens with natural gas. Still in the uptrending market. So natural gas is looking positive. Next up is the NASDAQ, and of course the NASDAQ is continuing to sell off. And this is the index futures, so this is what the future is showing you. And the next support area is probably down here somewhere, right? So keep an eye on that. But the NASDAQ is showing lots of weakness. That's a big move downward. Just wiped all this stuff out. So be careful with the NASDAQ. Looks like it's showing lots of weakness, but this could just be where it's coming back to check in, to reverse and continue to head higher. So keep an eye on that. But if we break down below here and these moving averages roll over and start to force it down, if we get a nice movement down and these 8, 9, and this 20-day comes over and gets behind it, and like how it supported it here, it'll support it going downward also. Okay, so keep an eye on that with the NASDAQ. Next up is silver. And silver is looking positive. Did that nice little V turnaround like gold did, but it does have overhead pressure here, as you can see here and here, and of course this $33 area here too. So we need a lot to keep pushing that up through there. We need our trade winds to turn up and help lift us, give beneath our wings, and help push us higher. But silver does look positive like gold. It's definitely in an uptrending market, so just be careful up until we get up above here, above $33, and find some support in here. Once we find some support in this area, then we know we continue to go higher in silver. But we do have a uptrending market in silver, and it's looking very bullish. Next up is the Dow, which is looking very bearish, and it's getting below this channel here, and but we got our trade winds coming up to act as some support. So let's see what happens. First we got the 150. Maybe the 150 will hold it, but we'll see what happens with that. And we got our our 200s coming up to act as support as well. If they don't hold it and we get down in here in 41,600, then be careful, because we may be beginning to roll over and heading into a down market on the Dow. But right now it's still bullish, but showing lots of weakness in the Dow. Alright, next up is corn futures. And corn is big sell off in corn. If you caught that move, then good for you. But look for some support maybe down around $433 on corn. If that doesn't happen and we get below these trade winds, then next line of defense is down here at 401. If that doesn't happen, then look out below on corn. Alright. So that's all we got this morning with our majors. Of course, we got to hit our Chipotle. Let's take a look at Chipotle. And Chipotle tried to get back up into here at $55. Touched it, but didn't have enough to push it up. That was a big push for Chipotle. It almost came back to our 50% mark right there. It might have taken it out a little bit, but 50% of that move there. But came up into here, rejected, found some support here, and then pushed up. Now it's starting to head back down into here to retest this support area. So that might have been enough to come up and drag our moving averages over as well. So keep an eye on that. We'll see, because with all our majors showing weakness, Chipotle should continue to show weakness as well. And most of our stocks were going to show some weakness as well. Some are going to be heading higher, and some are going to be heading lower. But you might get lucky to catch that one on the positive if it's still in a bullish market. But be careful, tread lightly on these, because right now we got some serious weakness coming into the market. Next up is Rocket Lab, of course. And Rocket Lab, where are you, Rocket Lab? There you are. Rocket Lab on the pre-market set to open up about $17.50, would have put us down around in here somewhere. Alright, look for some support. Well, we got this window we need to shut too, so we may be heading down into $14 on Rocket Lab. We'll see what happens, but right now we're set to open up down here. We may find a little bit of support, maybe get a little bit of bounce, because we're getting kind of far from our 20-day and far from our 8 and 9 SMAs. So it may have enough time to bounce around in here while our trade winds come up to help support. But be careful, because we know our overall markets are heading downward, and so we do need to reconcile this window. So we may for some support down around $14.98, $14. If that doesn't hold, then we got 12. 12 doesn't hold, then we're probably heading back down to $8 on Rocket Lab. So I know that doesn't sound good to a lot of you, but unfortunately That's the way the cards are playing out right now with Rocket Lab. Doesn't sound good to anybody really, because you want companies to be strong and continue to head higher, but it's the way the market is, right? Um, so that's all I got for this morning. Make sure you are, paying attention to your stops and your and making a good plan in which way you want to head when you're trading. Remember, we're showing some weakness in the markets, but those markets that are still bullish, you got to be careful with those as they sell off, because although they are still in the bullish market, they're showing some weakness. So you have to be careful with how you trade them. Generally, green means good when you're bullish, but sometimes when the market is weak, like it is right now, that green can just be a little bit of a head fake or a bounce, dead cat bounce, or or just trying to survive, and people, people, and I like to think of it as maybe some of those shorts are being cashed in on, so they're covering their shorts, and so we get a little bit of a bounce, and then they put the short right back on once it gets up to a high enough area. Once they get enough people thinking we're going green again, and they can start shorting it again, and they're heading back down, and then you're trapped. So, which is another name for a bull trap. That's, I guess, the bull trap explained, unintentionally explained. So anyway, I hope you're already liked and you've already subscribed and you've already hit the notification bell, because I got some more I'm going to run out this morning to you. Some of the trades that I'm in, I might let you know about those, and of course you already know about the Rocket Lab and Chipotle. Chipotle is my long termer, so I've been running puts on Chipotle, so just to kind of hedge my position, because I want to hold on. And I gotta say, I've been thinking about maybe cutting some of my Chipotle holdings and then rebuying them later on down the road, because Chipotle doesn't pay a dividend, so really there's no point to continue to hold it at these prices. But sell some stock if you buy it back before the end of the month, then it's considered a wash sale. I think they call it a wash, which means you don't get to write off that loss in the next year. So if you do sell it and it turns around on you right away and hits back up and it starts running again, now if you buy it back because you don't want to get left behind, now you created a wash and you don't have that write off. So so you got to pay attention to that too. So I don't want to really, until I'm totally convinced that Chipotle is going to continue to sell off, or that it's going to continue into a down market, I don't really want to let go of the shares that I have and create that wash. But I might trim them in half here in next week. If next week we don't get some good things out of the market and the market continues to look like it's going to sell off, or maybe even this week, then I may have to cut my Chipotle position in half, and then I'm just kind of out until until next month sometime, before I can start buying it again, and at that point maybe I might buy a call or something like that if it does turn around before I get a chance to buy the actual regular stock. Then maybe I'll buy a call or something like that and take that ride back up and then play it that way. All right, so learn your options too, because there's options are a great way to continue to protect your interest. All right, so that's all I got this morning. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and look for the next one. All right, be careful out there. These markets are crazy.